Welcome to Immigration Quicktake. This is Tessa Wiseman with the American Immigration Lawyers Association. Following a preliminary injunction sought and won by the ACLU, a federal judge has ordered immigration agencies to begin reunifying migrant families separated as a result of the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy. Experts are still determining how that ruling and the Flores settlement connect, but here to talk about the latest state of play and how AILA members can help is Karen Lucas, Director of the Immigration Justice Campaign. Karen, thanks for joining us. What are the latest developments on the family separation crisis on the border?
Thanks, Tessa. So two things happened recently. The first is that the president issued an executive order, and it was widely reported that this executive order was ending the policy of family separation at the border. What it actually did was announce an intention to massively expand and prolong the detention of families. And the president also requested that a court give him the legal authority to do this by seeking to modify the 20-year-old Flores settlement agreement. And the government is still looking for the Department of Defense sites on which to do this expanded family detention. The second thing that happened was that the ACLU's lawsuit against the government over its policy of family separation had a positive development. They won a preliminary injunction against the government. And so here's what the ACLU lawsuit does. It halts the deportation of parents without their children unless the parent knowingly waives this. It stops family separation without cause at ports of entry. It requires that the government reunify separated families for kids who are younger than 5 years old within 14 days, for older children within 30 days. It requires that the government facilitate communication between parents and their children within 10 days. Note what it doesn't do. It does not stop criminal prosecutions of parents who cross between the ports of entry and the resulting family separation that happens. That said, the CBP commissioner said a few days ago that he's currently pausing the referral of families for prosecution due to resource constraints, meaning they don't have enough detention beds. The other thing it does not do is it does not stop the administration from expanding family incarceration, which they are actively trying to do.
How is the Immigration Justice Campaign engaged on these issues?
So I'd like to remind folks what the Immigration Justice Campaign is. It is a joint initiative between AILA and the American Immigration Council and other partners to fight for justice and due process for detained non-citizens. And we do this by training up the immigration bar with new tactics and strategies to meet this enforcement environment, and by expanding our pro bono partnerships with the broader legal community to amplify our voice and our reach. And so the campaign is testing some new strategies for scaling up pro bono representation, specifically for detained individuals in smart ways. And we're doing this through a few local national partnerships in Colorado, Ohio, Washington State, the southeastern United States, New Jersey, and of course in Dilley, Texas with the Dilley Pro Bono Project. So when the family separation policy was first announced, with the help of lots of networks of lawyers across the country, including Lawyers for Good Government and others, we got the word out about what the Justice Campaign was, what was happening, and what was needed. And our volunteer numbers skyrocketed, going from about 1,600 to more than 5,000 in less than a week. So immediately we began to see several cases of mothers and fathers who had been separated from their children at the border, detained at detention centers where we already had local partnerships, primarily in Aurora, Colorado, and we've already won release on bond for 4 of those cases. We also found that volunteers were super interested in helping to fight the inhumane policy of family detention. And so scores of our new volunteers have been rushing down to Dilley, Texas to help. For those of you who may not know, AILA continues to be heavily invested in the fight against family detention and supports the heroic effort to provide pro bono representation for mothers and children detained at the largest immigration detention center in the country in Dilley, Texas.
What volunteer opportunities are available to attorneys?
Right now, we're exploring how best to work with other legal service providers across the country who are outside of the Justice Campaign Network to help identify and serve other detained fathers and mothers who were separated from their children at the border. And we may need AILA experts to help us with those, so stay tuned. But the fact of the matter is that the Justice Campaign was created to fight not only what's catching everyone's eyes in the news today, but to fight the systemic representation crisis facing detained immigrants. And we have many different opportunities for volunteer lawyers to help. If you want to work remotely, you can do that. We have writing and bond representation opportunities. If you want to get fully immersed and go to a detention center for a week, there's not only Dilley, but there's opportunities at detention centers in the Southeast as well, and everything in between. So please go to our website and see those opportunities and join us today, www.immigrationjustice.us.
Thanks, Karen, for joining me. For the rest of you, please stay tuned for more updates from the American Immigration Lawyers Association.